Okay, let's continue a bit, I guess. Um, what are the process? We normally do this three-phase process for game development, and this also apply to any uh, project-related based. Yeah, we got the pre-production, we got the production, and then we got the post-production. Yeah, so pre-production is basically what happened before you actually make the game. Yeah, a production is where you actually build the game, and post-production is what happened after you say it's finished. Yes, my game is done. Things like that. Right. So pre-production is pretty much planning stage. Yeah. So you look around for idea, look around for concept, look around for any mechanics that needs to be in the game. Yeah. So for instance, Mario Odyssey, they started with the mechanic, the throwing mechanic, and then they go look around what to add from there. Yeah. Um, Production stage is where you implement everything. Yeah, from user interface, animation, environment, props, character sound, and music, and of course, forgot to put the program side of thing, like programming, I guess. And what happened on the post production is where you deploy your game, and then yeah, this is supposed to be aftermarket user testing. Yeah, so you test the market, see what's wrong with your game, what's right with your game, and how can you improve it for your next game, or you can patch it out if you're building up a those kind of game. Yeah, just tweak and tweak and tweak basically. So that's the idea of post production nowadays. um all right, so we're going to move further on the production pre-production side. Okay, first, the idea, right? So every game starts with an idea. Yeah, idea can come from anything. Sometimes you walk around and you found an idea of a game. A game about ants, for instance, or you saw someone throwing a rock and you think about, can that can be a game, for instance, a good mechanic for a game, things like that. So idea comes from anything, and it can come from everyone as well. Yeah, it doesn't have to be the game designer that has the initial idea. It can come from the programmer, the artist, even the janitor, if there's a janitor in your company, I suppose. Yeah. So the idea need to be brainstormed. You need to mind map that one idea. Yeah, see if it's feasible. So what can relate to each other, and how can you mix and match within the current genres that available, things like that. Then once you have this idea brainstorm and fixated in your brain, start concepting. Concept can be start from building up mechanic, characters, starting concepting the UI, and even the level. Yeah, so all these three is going to be needed for the whole idea thing. Right. um and then you start building up the design. Okay. um um when you're building up a design, what I mean is that you're building up a building block. This is what we call a building block. So you just make a bunch of boxes and see if it fits for the level, and see if the mechanics work. So start from there, and then it doesn't have to be a really good drawing. It's going to take a long time to do that. So the idea is to have the a building block or design as fast as possible. Sometimes you can work this in a matter of hours or days, yeah, or even just 1 week, finish that, and see if it's possible to push this as an actual game, right? Um, so yeah, this is what you call a prototype or a proof of concept. Yeah. Um, it is a working design, and it already translated your concept into a level, and then this is where you test your gameplay. Yeah. So normally in the class, this is what we'll be doing. Yeah. So for the whole 13 week, you building up a prototype based on an idea that you have on your mind. So normally we will give you a theme, and then you work from there. Yeah. So similar like global game jam, I suppose, if you know, the 48 hours playing game, but we pull it into like 13 weeks basically. Yeah. All right. Any questions so far? It's clear, yeah. It's easy to understand, hopefully. All right. Next. Um. So we move to production. This is supposed to be pre-production and production phase. Sorry. Yeah. So we have what we call a design iteration. Yeah. Basically, uh, this is where we generate ideas, and then we formalize the idea, and then we create those prototype. Yeah. Just like in the pre-production, pretty much it's either physical or digital. Yeah. Sometimes if you need it fast and you don't have the um, doesn't have any skill in programming, you can do a physical prototype. Like things like a card game, or that later can translate it into an actual digital card game, for instance. Yeah, or a digital prototype. Nowadays, we have a lot of option on uh, creating a digital prototype using game engines. Yeah, it's all free, I guess. A lot of free game engines that you can use. Um, and then you test that idea basically. Yeah, see what works and what's not, and then you evaluate that. You write what can be improved, and what needs to be not in the game. Like for instance, the enemy is too hard. I need to scale down the enemies. Instead of five, I'm just going to put three, for instance. Or you don't need that this particular enemy is on this level. You're just going to move that to somewhere else, things like that. So you evaluate your ideas, and then you generate that ideas based on what you've evaluate. So and then it goes around and round until you satisfy, or until you meet your deadline, basically. Yeah. um so once you finish, then you move on to production. All right, this is the final thing that I'm going to build and submit it to, I don't know, Google Play Store, or App Store. Yeah, things like that. And obviously this is where the art and the code comes in. Yeah, so they put it into production and look at various bugs and look at different colors and such, and you revise it again and things like that. Yeah, it's a messy process at this point, but that's how the game development goes. Right. um so what happened once we finished our production? Yeah. Are we done? No, obviously not. We have what we call a play testing session. Yeah. We need to test our game many times. Yeah. There's a various things to do. Kind of like first thing, you can do what we call a self-testing. So you can play your own game and see if it's okay, or if it's broken or not. Yeah. And then once you think that it's good for yourself, then you move on with what we call test with confident, or your trusted person. Yeah, normally it's going to be your teammates, or inside the company would be the tester, for instance, or any team members that can that can play the game. You should go there. You need to test with them, right? And once you're happy with that, um, you need to test with your target market. you know um, Normally in a company, they they hire like a weekly or a daily tester that's joined in to test the game. Every month or every week, probably, it depending on how needed the playtest is. Yeah. You just test to your market. You give it to your target market. If it's a kid, give it to kid and see how it plays. Yeah. Or if it target market is lecturer, just give it to us and we gladly play it. Right. Um. What else? The method of play testing, yeah, it can be what we call a one-on-one. So basically, a person plays, and then you sit beside him or her, and then talk to each other and discuss with about the game, yeah. Or you can do observation. Basically, you let the player or the tester um, play your game without your interfering them. Yeah. This is what I normally do. Make them play and see if they understand from start to finish, basically. Yeah. Um, and also you can create a feedback form. So basically, the idea is that you don't even see them. You know, uh, give them time to play, and then once they finish, uh, and then you just give them the feedback form. Yeah, we did this normally during our prototype days with the industry. Yeah, give them a feedback form, and then the designer will get all those feedback. And normally they have a lot of good feedback, and sometimes harsh feedback as well. But that's part of the joy, I guess. Yeah. Um, and another thing is interview. So once the tester play your game, and then you interview them, what about this, what about that, instead of giving them a feedback form. You just interview them and take notes on whatever the tester are doing, basically. Yeah. Lastly, this is more for online game, or nowadays we do this, what we call a data hook. Yeah. So you give the game, and then you get the data from them. Yeah, this is what we do from our research with my research with Serbahana. Yeah, with the ADHD. Yeah, so we let the kids to play the game, and then we gather all the data that needed to be improved, basically. Yeah. um
I think every game right now collect data from the players, but the players maybe doesn't know. Yeah.
yeah, that's true though, that's true. Uh, well, most game, unless you are not connected to the internet. But yeah, the idea is not to collect your personal data, but to see, for instance, one level, how many minutes do they finish. Yeah, is it intended a 5 minute, and then uh, see if they can tackle more than that or less than that. Is it okay or not, things like that. And then they can tweak that on a post production, basically. Yeah, so that's the idea of data hook. That's cool. All right. Next. Here you go. So again, this is like the general idea of the production, like upside down pizza thing, I guess. Yeah. um so let me just turn on this laser pointer thingy. Right, hopefully you can see this. Yeah, so on the pre-production, you start with concept phase, just like we looked at before, and then pre-production phase. So start generating idea, formalizing, testing, evaluate, revise, up until the production stage, up until the QA phase, up until launch. It's always the same. Yeah. So if you think that your game is really interesting, um, this is what happened behind the screen. Yeah. So there are a lot of people who test the game over and over and over and over until they refine it, until they think that this is good enough for launch. Yeah, so that's why uh, the triangle is upside down. Yeah, so they start with big idea first, and then they start to focus a little bit more up until this one. So this is already fixed, but they just need to, tackle up more bugs and everything. Yeah, so hopefully the more you test your game, the more refined the end result is. Yeah. So that's general idea. Now, obviously, every game company have different policies regarding this. Sometimes they delay. Sometimes they make it uh, longer, depending on the production. It's very how do you call that? Liquid, yeah. Game development process is. Right. Um, Next is uh, normally when we talk about game design, people will think about when I finish the course or when I finish the uni, I want to be a game designer, right? That's like the goal because game designer is kind of like the superstar in the game development. Yeah. Um, uh, to get there, it's a bit difficult, as in you have to start from below first. Yeah. If you're from graphic design, you start with as a game artist. Yeah. You work on creating assets, either 2D or 3D or UI, things like that. Really, really small assets first, and then you move on to a bigger role up until the game designer. Yeah, for computer science, this is normally faster than the graphic design part, because they normally start as a game tester first. Yeah, and move on into programmer and then the designer, because it always in line with the course itself. Yeah, a tester normally understand what happened within the game. They play one level um, every day, so they know how to cheat the game. They know how to look at for the bugs and everything. So since they have that knowledge, so as a designer later on, they can they use that knowledge to develop a better one. Yeah, so that's the idea. But that doesn't mean that a game artist cannot be a game designer, right? Right. So you need to be working as part of the team, obviously. Yeah. You need to work if you're alone. If you're an indie developer and you are the game designer, you still need to work with the artist or the other programmer or the producer, basically. Yeah. But if you're working alone, then you need to be on everything. Yeah. You think about that yourself. Right. You need to generate the concept. You need to craft the rules. Um, you need to write the game and software specification. Yeah, so you need to understand, like, if I want to deploy for Android, what need to be done. If I'm going to deploy for iOS, what are the specs that needed and things like that. You need to guide the implementation. Yeah, so you during the implementation, you need to look after other responsibility as well. And definitely you need to playtest the game um, and refine it. Yeah. Also, you need to design the levels. Yeah. So there's a lot of things. This is this is like a very very vague general idea, obviously. And um, yeah, this is just the basic idea on what you need to do regarding as a lovely game designer. Yes. Um, right. Any questions so far? No? Good. I like this class. So silent. Right. Bit of notes when building up a level. Yeah. First, if you can't beat your own level, then it's way too hard. Yeah. You cannot say that it was intended, sir. And I'm not a good gamer, but my level is so good. Yeah. No, it's just too hard. You know. Don't deny it. It's okay. Right. Next. So design for the general audience, not for the hardcore. That's the very first, foremost thing to do. Unless you're from software and then you want to create another, Dark Soul, go ahead. Um, Depending on the market, I guess. Yeah. Yeah. Don't forget to ease the player into the game. Yeah. So don't give a hard boss at the start. you know uh, do it one by one. Put one Goomba first, and then two Goombas, and then three Goombas, and then 1,000 Goombas later on, one by one. Otherwise the player will say, this game is not for me. um I, but don't forget to challenge the player. Yeah, otherwise if it's too easy, and it gets boring easily, and people will finish the game or quit the game, in less than 5 minutes. But I know what's happening, I know everything already, and then that's it. You don't want to continue. Yeah. So challenge the player. If you're building up like 3 levels, make sure that the difficulty is, you vary the difficulty. It can be like easy, medium, hard, or easy, hard, and then medium, or just play around with the pacing, so people will get interested over time. Right. And build levels around a central concept. Yeah. So the idea is, how do you call that? If we look at, say, Mario Bros. I hope everyone plays that, the original one, or at least play some level of it. You can see that each level have different concept. Yeah. Um, First level is the introduction, and then you got the dungeon level, and then you got the castle level, and you got the cloud level. Different concept for every level. Yeah, so think about that. Okay, and then don't forget to teach player into the game. Yeah, this is what we normally forgot as a designer, because we think the player will think just like the designer. Yeah, where in fact they don't know how to play at first, and they need some guidance. Yeah, so teach the player into the game. Don't forget that. That doesn't mean that you need to put like a 10-hour tutorials, just to ease the player. Okay. Next, give player rooms to explore. So the idea is, make sure that the player is comfortable with your level first, and let them explore. Yeah. So um, uh, one good example is Flappy Bird. Yeah. So at the start of the level, you're already falling. Yeah. Um, while we often see that, you need to make sure that the player understand first, so they have the before they start, they have a pause about, I don't know, 3 seconds or so, so the player understand what's going on the screen, and then when they start, it goes fall. So Flappy Bird tells the player to, all right, you need to press something. He teach the player how to avoid that. Yeah, first death is, but there's no consequences. Yeah, things like that. All right. Next. Yeah. Okay. Vary your level. As I said. Right. And then don't forget to refine and play and refine again. Yeah. Normally in the development, you got this daily build, weekly build, and monthly build going around. Yeah. So the idea is to finish the game, or finish the level in one day, or week, and then test it out, and then you go back again, and then refine it again, and go, and so on and so on and so on. Yeah. So uh, yeah, it's a long process. Yeah, even I think I don't remember which Mario was it, but they said that it took them about 3 months just to finalize how Mario should jump. You know, so that's how complex the development is. Right. So this is an example of what we did before during before the pandemic. Yeah. A Batik board game process. I should have changed this into the VR one, yeah, one, but I don't have time. Sorry.
Sure.
So I'm just going to go through this again. But I'll show you the example of a digital game later. But the idea is what was the process behind creating this one? Right. So the first thing I need to do is a prototyping process, obviously. Yeah. So again, I was conflicted whether it's going to be a digital game or a board game or a card game or physical game at that time. Yeah. Um, I don't know which way I want to go first. And then I decided to have a board game because for me it's a new challenge. Yeah, I never designed a board game before, and a lot need to take in. Like you need to create a bunch of stuff. It took longer for me to make a prototype compared to digital, apparently. But it's easier to edit on the fly, basically. Yeah, and it has, as I said, a different approach on prototyping. When you need more time to cut everything, write down everything, make sure everything is on the same stuff and things like that on same themes. And I wanted to make a entry level for non-gamer. So basically the idea is to create uh, an introduction on how batik made using a game. Yeah, so this is what Pak Raymond said yesterday about a serious game. So it's a game but it can teach you something. So that's one of the things that we do. Yeah. um all right, so yeah, I look at different board because my background is on more onto design. I don't go from mechanic, but I go from once I list everything I need, I start with the board first, basically. Yeah. And I also look at different question that I need to answer later on for the project itself. Yeah, is the player knows the process of making batik? Is the player able to differentiate different tool for batik making? And then is the game engaging enough to preserving the batik culture? So that's the whole idea of making this game. Yeah, all these three questions that I want to answer. Um, right, again, more sketches and more thing to write, I guess. So I decided to have a what we call a worker management game. It needs to be 30 to 45-minute duration per game, because again, this is for entry level, and I want to go for a fast-paced game. So hopefully by 30 minutes, the player understand how to make batik. Right, that was the idea. Right, and I just want to focus on the process. Yeah, because if you look at batik, there's a design one. You can go for buying and selling and everything, but I just wanted to focus on the process of making batik. Yeah. So obviously I do a lot of research first. We went to some batik processing warehouse, I guess. Yeah. Took photograph. We talk to the person there. We interview them. And realized that one batik can be made like either 3 months, 6 months, even more than a year to make, and that can cost a lot of money. All right. Um. So again, so the approach is the batik process. This is the first prototype. Uh. Yeah. Now, the first prototype that I make is apparently uh, a very quick game. Yeah, it's not a really good game. It's really bad, and it becomes a game of race. Um, and there's a huge advantage for first player. Yeah, this is once I tested with uh, myself and with the trusted person, as in a bunch of lecturers. Right. So this is not good, but this is a lesson learned for me. Yeah. Then the next iteration, what I think that needed is to create an additional resources. Yeah. So I try to add money. I try to limiting the tool usage, and I try to add points and rewards. Yeah. So the next step was that, and um, with all these three items, it become less of a race, yeah, but more of managing the tools itself, and trying to get a big reward. It's still not perfect, and it's still too quick to finish. So I decided to have make the time longer. That's by adding a randomizer. Yeah. So the thing that I did was to add what we called a weather dice. Weather dice. Click that. Yeah. So weather dice. So basically, one process of batik is where you try to dry the batik, yeah, and then you need to roll up the dice if it's clear, and then you can finish it quickly. But if it's raining, then you have to wait for several turns, basically. So it's kind of like that, and it makes it interesting because then I also can add what we call a calendar system. You need to look at different time when it's good and when it's bad and things like that. So more managing stuff, I guess. And then you also have to overcome this, you can have a special fabric. This is like we're adding a fictional fabric, a special fabric that if you use this kind of fabric, your process can go faster, twice time, things like that, or it can go longer, because the quality is that bad. Yeah. So that was the idea of having this fabric. And right, and we try that, and then we think that it's okay, it's good enough, and then we do a bigger playtest with our guy here. What's his name again, Mon? Our RA, research assistant.
Yeah, he will join us later on in the webinar,
Oh,
Christopher
cool. Yeah,
Ricciardo.
Chris. Yeah, so we test with him, we test with everyone else in FX, I guess. Yeah. um yeah, so that's kind of like the uh, what room is it? 603, where we held our prototype days, where we gather some of the designer as well to play. This is our students' game as well. Some of the designer uh, bring their game, and we play that. And obviously, that batik games there as well to see if it's working or not. Yeah. So again, come back to the question. Is the player know the process of making batik? Is the player able to differentiate it? And is the game engaging enough? Yeah, so that's the trick question on the front that I want to ask. I want to answer. So basically, once we tested, they said, "All right, that is good." Once you finish the game, they said, "All right, oh, I know that I need to have chanting. I need to have a bunch of wax. I need to do all this design stuff before I create making batik." Yeah. And then do they understand what to do? Yes, because in the game you actually need to use a certain tools for a certain process. Yeah, so they understand that. Yeah, but is the game engaging enough? Apparently no. Yeah, because once the player finish the game, apparently they said, all right, I know everything, and that's it. So the game wasn't engaging enough. Yeah, and this is just the first step. And what next? So what next? Obviously, you go back to your idea, you formalize again, you evaluate, and you generate idea. Yeah. So that's the idea of creating the game. Now, obviously, I haven't done this honestly, but it should be in the future project, or hopefully, if you are interested as well, we can make it digital and see things differently, I guess. I suppose. Right. Any question?
Question?
No?
Not yet.
Any question on Zoom? Right. Are you all stressed enough to create a game now? No, don't be. It's an interesting process.
Yeah, maybe
But
similar like any other application actually see the process.
yeah, yeah, for sure. That's true. All right. Wow, there's a student with the same name. Bayu Harto. What engine will we be using? Uh, in graphic design, we normally use Unity. In CS, I don't know, Mon. Depend, yeah.
Yeah, in the past, I don't know for batch 2025, yeah, because we don't have multimedia system course again.
Okay, I see.
But in the past, we use for the first semester Construct 2, and some student that only have Mac OS, they can use G develop. That's a application that can create game with minimum programming, even without programming. But you should know a little bit about looping or branching, but no programming actually.
Yeah,
Yeah, so usually using that. Then after that, yeah, it's Unity, of course.
yeah. Okay. Yeah, so that's cool. All right. So what time do I have, Mon? How many times
What,
left?
50 more minutes.
50. I'm
And
finished already.
you have
Just
until
kidding.
240, right? Right?
Really? That's so long. All
Yeah.
right, hold on.
Not
That's okay.
yeah, no need to fill in the whole in.
No, I still
Um,
have more presentation for all of
yeah,
you.
yeah,
Oh, yay for you.
240. Bye.
All
Yeah,
right.
or you can show some game lah.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do lah. Hold on. Let me just finish up. So in the meantime, if you have any question, go ahead. I still have one more slides and a few games to show, I guess. How do we make our game?
Or maybe you
Uh,
can say explain about the alpha testing, beta testing by before in the testing before.
oh
Which one
yeah,
is
that's
alpha? Which one is beta?
yeah, that's true. I don't have the slide, but the idea of alpha testing and beta testing is a bit different. Alpha means that you finish a level but the game hasn't finished yet, so like a sporadic kind of thing. So probably level 1 is finished, but the level 2 hasn't finished yet, level 3 is finished, so you only test that particular level. So that's what we call alpha. Beta is everything. Beta is when the game can be played from start to finish, but it's not polished yet. Basically that's what's going on. um
Yes,
right,
so
yeah.
alpha usually the team member or the yeah, like you said before in the slide, the person that you uh, confident yeah to test yeah. Beta is yeah, it's more public yeah.
Yeah, yeah, beta can be public, that's true. All right. Follow orders on the screen. How do we make our games compatible to the current devices? If you're building during the planning, that's where you start looking at compatibility. As I said, you need to know who's your target market. Yeah. And then you start from there. If it's Android, then you need to specify which devices that needs to be run smoothly. If it's an iOS, an iPhone devices, yeah, you need to specify which version of iOS that going to run smoothly. So that's your main target market, and then you can go for your secondary target market, lower spec or higher spec and things like that. Yeah. So That's how we do looking at compatibility. Although you also can do after you finish one game. Say you focusing only for one target market first. For instance, Android, or I don't know, say PS5. Yeah, and then once you finish, and then you what you call a porting feature. Yeah, you start building up again for different machine, but on different time frame basically. Yeah, so it is also possible that. Is Unreal Engines too hard for beginners? No, not really. Yeah, the Unreal or Unity both are fine. If you are, in my experience, building up a simple game in Unity is easier. As if you're a programmer, yeah, it's easier compared to Unreal. But creating a really good graphic kind of game in Unreal is that easy as well, because they have a bunch of templates that you can use uh, to work with, to start with, basically. Yeah, but both honestly have a really good template nowadays. Once you create new project, and then they have a starting template for 2D, for 3D, for high-end 3D, for VR, for AR, and everything. They have their template anyway, and then you can just play around with that. I want to show you some of um, the game that made by your senior, I guess. Um, Hold on. Right, is Jason here?
Yeah,
Jason Christian. Right,
it's
I'm going to
Jason.
show your game.
Oh my God.
Do you want to explain it again? Hold on.
It's okay, sir. You can.
No lah. So yeah, this is the game design and programming. Hold on, no sound ya. Who cares?
No, no need lah.
No need sound. Yeah, so that's Jason Christian there. Uh, what's the game? HTA basically. Yeah. You're using Unity, yeah, for this one, yeah, Jason, yeah. And
Yes, sir.
yeah, basically using WASD and then mouse to attack. So he's explaining the tutorial here, so that's a good thing to do. Yeah, so yeah, everything explained really clearly, and then he explaining the UI really clear there as well, so a player can see what's going on. uh, they can test it out and then start playing. Let me just skip this.
Yeah, in CS, the sprite, the design can student can take from the internet, yeah, but need to be free to use. Okay,
Yeah,
but also give the link later on in document or something. Yeah, but in design, yeah, different then.
yeah, that's true. For computer science student, we give the ability for them to use assets, because the course focusing on the game mechanic and how you play the game. And let's try to kill some enemy. There you go. um so this is like a 13-week project. uh
Yeah. This one is platform game, yeah,
yeah,
or
a
top down.
slashing game. Is it correct, Jason? Yeah. Yeah, so I think we tested a few times as well during the development. Sadly, I don't have I don't prepare the documentation on how he did during development. And this is like the final product that he made. um Times. That's cool. So right, so that's one from Jason. And let me just look at things. And what
Oh yeah,
about,
the class is a game design class. But
yeah,
again, for 2025, I think we don't have anyone.
Oh yeah, so this is the
Uh,
only time you understand game. Right. But for graphic design student, let me just skip this. This is a this is a game from some of your senior from design student, IDM student, basically. They are on the how to call that fourth year now, I guess, starting fourth years. Yeah. Yeah, this one's interesting because the mechanic is where you try to close your eyes and the ghost is disappear. So that's basic idea. Um, so on this one, every student have different idea and concept and that they need to produce basically. Yeah. The difference between the CS student and the design student is that if the CS student have a lot of time to play test, but on design student we just focusing on the story and the visual. So we use Unity for this one, and let me just skip that a bit. And for some reason, this patch is most of the game are really either horror or depressing to play. I don't know. Yeah, visual novel. It's interesting, I guess. How can the yeah all those story choices. Um, so yeah, that's one example. That you'll be getting on screen design development, I guess. Wait, wait. All right. Yes. The same thing. All the choices and stuff. So the design student are focusing on creating this fancy art. Yeah. All right. So that's student work. Yeah. And I think so this is an example of a joint project from computer science and graphic design last semester, creating a creating wait, this is the process. Oh, this is the process. Hold on, sorry.
internship
Where's
ya,
that
by internship
game? No,
CS project with the bagus.
yeah.
Yeah.
This is a thesis project on graphic design and an internship project from computer science. Well, so they created. If you played Florence before, so that's the same idea basically. Yeah, this is supposed to be one by one in the screen. So this is part of the development process that she tells. So she look at on creating the illustration, and then the mechanic will be created by the CS student. Yeah, so so she created a bunch of comic panel, and then the CS student help her on creating when it should go on and off and things like that. Yeah. Yeah, Sir Bagus is the one in charge uh, looking at the CS student. Yeah. So it's
I think
possible.
also communication, but by
Oh
communication
yeah, that's for
student.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot about the communication student. Yeah, so the story is from the communication student. The visual comes from the graphic design student, and the mechanic comes from CS student. So we combine the project with that. Yeah. All right. So that's another possibility. This one is another project uh, using VR. Yeah.
Yeah.
Brush away. Basically, teaching kids to brush the teeth correctly.
Yeah. This
And
also
yeah, you wanna
student
talk?
from CS, this graphic design and communication, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so there's an exploration mode to look around and looking at that creepy kids over there. Again, this is the prototype phase where you this area is where you're testing out a bunch of stuff and see if all the buttons are working correctly and things like that. See if the players are able to walk around and then start the game. You need to brush that that thing basically. Yeah, that's thing. Oh no. Oh, stop. There you go. Right. So yeah, you can see that the player is a bit struggling. Probably he's stressed out looking at the giant face. Here we go. Yeah, so that's another things, another project. Is the project is the project a video to show your skill as a teamwork? It doesn't have a specific theme, no. Depend. Depend on the. Sometimes we give theme, sometimes we don't. Yeah. Always depend on how the lecturer's mood are basically. Yeah. But yeah, normally we do teamwork. I often tell the student whether you want to work as a team or individually. Yeah. If it's individually, then normally I would say that you don't need to go you don't need to create the assets. You can look for the free asset on the net, but you need to create a complete game based on that. But if you're working on a team, then you need to focus on both. So one person create the art, one person create the mechanic. So that's the basic idea. Yeah, so just teaching you the workflow on creating the game. All right. um what else? Here's the other thing that the research still going on. VR on, yeah, testing out those control, those hand, and that's how you actually select the level. Yeah. So again, the art comes from the graphic design student, and then everything else from CS. Yeah, so we build that. This one we're using Oculus Quest. Yeah, I think both CS and graphic design graphic design has one Oculus Quest each. So so we can
Oh, boy,
try.
we have
It is.
STC, boy. Oculus is owned by RSCM, not us.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay. All right.
Prof
Okay. So
Chin.
yes. Yeah, we have the Oculus for from design, and computer science have the STC, so we can create a multiple device kind of thing. So that's cool, right? So that's VR, I guess. This all using Unity, by the way, and I guess I can tell a bit more about Unreal as well if you need to. So this is one project that I did this year, creating a virtual environment using Unreal Engine. Yeah, and just trying to develop a really nice environment, an outdoor environment, since we are in the pandemic, and we want to be virtually outside, I guess. And so you can play around. So the idea is just to have a really good ambience, adding sounds on left and right, and then adding a bunch of birds and fishes and everything, so you can kind of like a zen moment, I guess. Yeah, if you need to. So there's no gameplay at all, just experimenting with the engine, experimenting with the sound and the environment, and also a lot of asset basically. Yeah, so I started with trying a this is the first prototype that I did, looking at different day and night cycle, see if it's possible to do that. And while I was quite happy to finish it, and it works nicely, but it was really hard to make sure that uh, when the time is a day, when it's daylight, you need to have like a proper animal to comes out, and then you need to do different things, and it's just making things more complex. Yeah. Make the game multiplayer so people can therapy session together. I think that's a good idea. Yeah. Next project, I guess. That's cool. Yeah. So next, trying different water. Yeah. Surprisingly easy to make, but it's just apparently is the processing is just really slow. Yeah. So decided not to use both day and night, and this beautiful Fortnite water kind of things. Yeah. And then next is I test the landscape. Yeah. So I create a big level and see if it can stream nicely, uh, and see how everything work. So this is before I cut down a lot of things, and then finish the actual project. So the idea was to have a different landscape, one a beach, a hill, and then I can't remember ruins or something like that. So people can actually walk around and see all those different environment. But time constraint and a file size are the limitation here. Yeah. Um, yeah, and then I tried to put a bunch of potatoes as well, which is quite daunting. Yeah, one by one. Again, obviously, I should have used those fancy physics things, but since I wanna, put it nicely one by one, I try that, and it's just really time consuming, but it's the fun process. This is like a whole day job for me, putting those uh, anti-gravity potatoes, right? Right, and then I add fishes. Yeah, so this is the first time I put some fishes in water, and that's really make me happy. So yeah, it's just a bunch of plain that I put there, basically. But I'm so happy with that. And then add some birds as well. Yeah, and that's true. Yeah, no famine. Yeah. So this is like the whole the first thing that I managed to have like the whole level coming along. Put some collider. Make sure that you cannot go underwater. Otherwise, I need to model a bunch of stuff that I hate. Yeah. So I just restrict some movement there, and then now obviously this doesn't have any sound yet. Yeah, and that's where we start building up sound. You put sound on fishes, you put sound on the river, and then all those butterflies and everything need to be put as well. So yeah, and uh, that was the development process basically. So it ended up like this. Yeah. So I have the information there, and I can have a look, and that's my potatoes and all those stuff. That's cool. Yeah, you need cicadas as well. I didn't get that. Did that. All right. So how long did it took to make this one? Yeah, again, this is my first time building up on Unreal. Um, so it took me about 3 weeks to work with, basically, using Unreal, and it's a quite an interesting project. Some assets are made by myself. Some are taken from the Megascan, and all just a bunch of internet, because I need to be really quick. Yeah. So that's like the process of creating just one level or one environment, and yeah, that's about it basically. More question before I move on to the next phase? or not. Yes. Oops, I closed the different presentation. All right. So normally in the class or before pandemic, we do play games session, and then you test it out, and then yeah, we look at the feedback. Yeah, but since we cannot do that in hybrid, I'm going to explain a little bit more about the structure of video game. All right, let me just prepare that a bit. Um, Hopefully this one's a bit quick. Yeah. I still have like 15 minutes ish. It should be quick. I don't like long presentation. Um, let me present. Right. Uh, can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Right, cool. Right. So hopefully I remember this one. Structure of game. Oops. So yeah, when you build a game, obviously there are some kind of element that you need, or what make your project called a game, basically. Yeah, and we're going to dissect that. Yeah, see what this thing makes a game, right? So going to have a bit of question for this one. Yeah, there will be two games, and you need to answer it. Um, And so what are the difference between these two things? Right, so people on the chat, go ahead. You can start typing something. Board game versus video game, digital and physical. Yep. Whereas one is digital, one is real. What do you mean? Oh yeah. All right, real. One is board game, card game, the other is digital. Okay, so that's physically, right? One is good and the other one is Uno. Right. Fine, cool. Okay, so that's easy, right? You know what's different between these two things. Um, Next, so what are the similarities between this game? Right. Yeah, entertainment. They're fun, intensity, playable, both multiplayer, both and ruin friendship. One versus everyone else. They could be played in real life. Yes, engagement, multiplayer, backstabbing, and the other is Metal Gear. Have rules. Fun. Strategy. All right, stop. Yeah, all right. Wait, let's break down a bit. Yeah, what makes them considered as a game? Yeah, you need a player. So the similarities is one. Obviously, you need a player. Yeah, to play that. Metal Gear Solid need one player. Uno need to have more than one player to be played on. Right. Okay. So first thing first, obviously, if it's a game, then you need a player. Right. Now, obviously, there are always a side note regarding players. Yeah. As we all know, player are line chaotic evil, right? So we always try to break the game. Yeah. So if you are a designer, you need to think them as this guy here, right? Um, they always try to find a way how to optimize their time in the game, or cheat the game, and that's okay. Yeah, right. So as a designer, you need to understand this first and foremost, right? Each game needs to have a objective, obviously. Yeah. um for this one, yeah, the objective for Uno is um to be the one, as long as you're not the last one, that you win, right? So not to be the loser, I guess. Yeah. And the objective for Metal Gear is to defeat that gigantic robot, I guess, right? There you go. So that's the objective, obviously. Both needed, yeah, to find weapons to replace Metal Gear. That's true, I guess. Right. So what about the other example? Can you tell what is this ball or anti-gravity ball objective is? Basketball. What is the objective of basketball? To have more score with the other, right? To get inside the loop, right? Get the ball in the loop, score a point. That's true. Yes, yes, yes. Right, more score than the other opponent, right? Cool. What about this one? Anyone played this? This shouldn't be hard. Get across the street. What happened after crossing the street? There's more than that. Quite obstacles. Yes. Yeah. So you need to go to this particular boxes, I guess. Yeah. So that's the objective. All right. I guess Sir Jude and Sir Bahana played this a lot during their childhood.
Because I'm older.
I played it too, man. Right. What about this one? Ruby Cube. What is the objective of this one? It's so stressful that I cannot solve it. Get the same color, same color. Yes, that's cool. To win by all means. That's true. You peel the stickers and you do that. And that's what I did to win this one. So next, every game needs to have what we call a procedures, right? Both game, Uno and Metal Gear give a detailed instruction how to achieve their objective. Yeah. So for instance, in Uno, you start with player A, and then you need to go. The procedure is you need to go clockwise, yeah, player B, player C, player D, until you get those dreaded reverse card, and then you need to go anti-clockwise, things like that. Yeah, and then in Metal Gear you have this codec call regarding where to go and what not to do and things like that. That's the procedure. So you get hints from people that are inside the game. Yeah. So that's the procedure. That's what you need. And then there's also rules, right? Even though you have procedures, you also have rules. Okay. Um, so for instance, there's this kind of rules in Uno that we often disobey it. Yeah. That's, I don't know. Currently, we all did that. But yeah, so there's a rules that need to be looked on. In Metal Gear, for instance, you need a certain ID card to go over that particular door, for instance. Yeah, so that's kind of like restriction, I guess, for the player. But then it while it limits the player, it also makes the player more creative on how to look on the different way. Yeah. Uh, but rules. What other than rules? Um, you also need resources, obviously. Yeah. To win the game, you need a bunch of resources, like this one. Yeah. Uno have like a bunch of special cards that can help the player to win the game or to ruin your friendship, I guess. Yeah. The 2 times, 4 times, the wild card, things like that, um, that are necessary for Uno. Say for Metal Gear, obviously you have this different kind of weapon just to kill those lonely soldier. Yeah, that's sad soldier. You can go for Nikita or C4 or just a Stockholm. Yeah. So you need resources, obviously. Next is you need a conflict. Yeah. Um, Conflict is needed to make the games more interesting. Yeah. Um, as Edward says, it destroyed many friendship in Uno, basically. Yeah. And for example, in Metal Gear, as I said before, you have a lot of option just to kill one soldier. Yeah, you either go for C4 and everything. So that's a conflict. Do you want to keep this +4, or you need to throw it now or later and things like that. Yeah. So that's the thing that needed to have. And lastly, I guess, is the outcome. Yeah. So you need to have an outcome. So what happened after you get the objective? What happened after Mario pulled the flag, for instance, or what happened when you uh, deal the last card? Yeah. Um, Now, what interesting about the outcome is sometimes it can be uncertain. Yeah, the outcome, because when you start Uno, you don't know who's going to win, and even and in the last minute, you don't even know. Yes, sometimes it's only two player, and you don't know who's going to win because all those randomizer. Yeah, so that's the thing that make it really interesting. Yeah. Um, so it's always uncertain, although there are measurable unequal outcome in some kind. Yeah. So it can be a winner, it can be a loser, it can be, it's just a satisfying feeling, I guess, once you defeat those, one boss that defeats you like for the whole week, and then you just finally uh, deal with that, and I'm so good. Things like that are also one of the outcome that can be driven by. All right. Okay. So the aspect of uncertainty in the outcome is an important one of our play-centric process because it's the key motivator. Yeah. So it's the thing that you want to try, right? You feel like you can finish the game, but then you failed, but you think you're progressing again and again. You try again until you satisfy and you finish it. Yeah. Yeah, just like when you play like a fighting game, you always lose, and then you look at those, one window that you can uh, look into, and then you uh, finally win that match, and it feel really good, right? Right. Any questions so far? Did I speak too fast, or is it clear enough for all of you? Hopefully, yes. Yeah, hopefully fine. Uh, People on the on site, is there any question?
Any question, guys? Not.
All right,
Okay.
cool. All right, so let's just review again. Yeah, you need a player, you need the objectives, you need the rules, you need the procedures. All right, balik harusnya ya, that's okay. You need a conflict, and then also you need the outcome. All right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things. When you create a game, please think of those 6 items. Yeah. Look at the player, look at the objective, rules, and everything, and see if your game's applying all those 6. That's cool. Yeah. And then again, this is just a guidance. It doesn't have to be all 6. Sometimes some games doesn't have any a clear outcome, like a sandbox games. Yeah. Um, Anyone know this game? No? Come on. Right. This called Nobi Nobi Boy. It's made by Keita Takashi. He is the designer for I think the latest one called Watam. It's a very really quirky game. Yeah. So the idea is that you can eat all those things on the screen, and then you can stretch your body, and then you can just play around in the area. You can eat all the thing, and then you can poop the thing out from your body, I guess, and that's all there is. There's no outcome. Yeah, and that's okay as well, I suppose. Yeah. Um. So again, this is just a guideline, and since we all here thinking about as a designer, as a game designer, um, this is just a guidance. And sometimes we try to bend rules and we try something interesting, and we experiment things, and you know, it might leads to something new, something that haven't done before. Okay. Um. Yeah. This was the game. I always say this to the student. Nobody gets right the first time. Yeah. We always say that your first idea is always the crappiest idea ever, even though you hold that. Yeah. Sometimes it's just that the crappiest idea, because once you iterate that, once you formalize that, it become or it evolves to something better. Yeah. But it's always a good point to start. Yeah. um, and no one likes to do work more than once, but that's the only way to improve it. Yeah, so the idea is uh, it's okay to be fail on the first time. Yeah, but then you learn from it. That's why in the development we have the design iteration, and that's what we do. You start, you fail quickly, but then you iterate, you improve it based on that. Yeah, otherwise, if you're afraid to move on to your project, and then it just it won't be as good as what you think the first idea is. Because sometimes we have like a grand idea, and then when you start building up, you see that this is not feasible at all. Yeah, and then you start chopping out all those grand idea to a really small thing, a really a core idea that you can help, and then you can start building that. You know. Um. Right. Thank you. I guess for this presentation. I don't have any more presentations, so I guess it's question time or not.
Yeah, 10 more minutes. Yeah. So it's okay. Is no is question? Any question, guys? Or just too sleepy?
Yeah,
No.
I guess it's that time. I'm sleepy as
Okay.
well. Need to play game.
No question in on site. So
Have an alumni made a multiplayer game before? Um. Uh. Yes. Hold on. I'll. There's one. Is there one in CS student?
multiplayer.
One. Yes. Creating multiplayer game.
I forgot ya. Maybe ya.
Yeah.
Oh, like Famdi create using AR, but not really multiplayer, but they can share the character in the
Oh,
cloud.
okay. Oh, yeah,
So it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
Tamagotchi, but using
Okay.
what do you call it? Virtual ya, using AR. So the character using AR can grow, yeah, yeah, on in time, but using the same AR. So they
Mhm.
save it on the Fuforia in that time database.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep. Okay.
yeah, we create
Um,
the paper for the for that thesis. I think that I don't know the others. Jude, any others multiplayer? Not really. Yeah, the other player usually
yeah, single player.
um not some bit complex because using mobile PC. So you have smaller mini games in mobile, but you can
Okay.
play that character after they play small game. They get several uh, I don't know, like stamina or something, and then you can play. Yeah, I think that multiplayer on the PC. So
Uh,
yeah, so it's like you training in the mobile, but after you have prepare the character on the mobile, yeah, you can play on the PC in that time.
yeah.
So yeah,
I think one graphic design student made a multiplayer game. I'm hold on, I'm looking at.
multiplayer for board game by.
Yeah, no, the one they made she made an arcade game, right? Hold on, let me just show that fancy pictures. Um,
Yeah, but usually the in CS all still prototype the game, so it's not
yeah,
the whole
that's
game
true.
fix apa. Yeah, still like several levels, or the character is not many, but it's working.
Yeah, that's true. Hold on. Let me. I want to show the thing. Right, here we go. Let me just open up. Oops. Right. Yeah. So this is our student work on this for her thesis. Yeah. She made a this is the projector and she projected here. Yeah, kind of like an arcade game where you uh, play Go Back Soder game. Yeah, one as what you call it, the soldier, and one that can move around uh, to go from here to there, basically. So the main player. So that's one thing that our student made. Yeah. So she used kind of like a DDR pad kind of things here, seeing that. Yeah, I think yeah, this is one multiplayer project that one of the alumni made 2 years ago, I think. Yeah,
And that's graphic design student.
yeah, IDM student.
We have
So
the
good.
tools, yeah. We already bought several tools that user student can use it also.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we have this Serbana told you about Game Lab. Yeah, I think we have a thing called Game Lab, and the idea is to have research based on game, and that's just one of the examples of it. Yeah, I think next semester we already have this semester. Yeah, we already have a digital table game thingy. Yeah, TV with touchscreen that you can play, sit down, and do a bunch of stuff. That's cool.
And again, when we will use it for the student, yeah, I don't know yet.
Yeah, for student, if student wanna use it, that will be great. Yeah, because yeah. All right.
Yeah.
What else? Any other question?
Okay, 5 more minutes. Anyway. Do we need to do some attendance?
I
So,
don't know. That's FFFL, I think.
I don't know. Okay.
All
That's
right,
it
cool. When
for
will
this
be
session.
making games?
No, no.
Tomorrow we'll be making games all day
For
long.
CS usually for semester, but yeah, for batch 2025, yeah, we don't have yeah a multimedia system. Usually multimedia and human computer interaction class, but right now because we join with the University of Newcastle, the course only become human computer interaction. Yeah, they
Yeah.
don't want to add multimedia. It's too tough.
All right, I see. Yeah, for GD student would be on semester 5, I think, 5 or 6. Yeah, year 2 or year 3. That's the idea. Right then, if there's no more questions, so thank you
Yep.
for the lectures and no, thank you for staying
What?
here. I was going to say thank you, Mon, for the lectures. Anyway, I'll see you, I guess, in Venus.
No, at three
Starting.
o'clock. At 3 o'clock, you still join us, right?
Oh yeah, another session. Oh, hold on. Photo session first.
Oh
My
yeah,
God,
who
we
said
need
that?
photo session.
They will
Go
stay.
ahead. Go ahead, FL. Mon, I think you need to show your face
I
somewhere
cannot
with
see.
some
I
June.
cannot see the Jude. Remove the monitor. I cannot see it.
There you go. All right, who's going to take the picture?
Fidelia is gonna take a picture.
All right, go ahead, Najma, or who else?
Full screen, full gallery.
Please turn on your cameras. There are people who haven't. Last slide. Okay, I'll start now. Slide 3, 2, 1. Second slide. 3, 2, 1. Third slide. 3, 2, 1. And last slide. 3, 2, 1. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, everyone.